All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Shannon, and I am a realtor in Delaware. My focus is to help you understand the home buying process so that you can successfully buy a home and to overcome the issues that might prevent you from home ownership. With that being said, I am sorry for the kickback. Just wanted to make sure that my information was coming up. So, today we're going to be discussing the steps that you need to understand in order to successfully purchase a home. I am licensed in Delaware, but this information should be able to assist you at least with walking through the steps as you go through the home buyer workshop. I've been a realtor for about since 2015. So that puts me at about 11 years, and I have 20 years of housing experience. I personally have had my own fair share of lemons. I understand what it's like to try to purchase a home and not know where to start. I understand what it's like to go through that process of trying to save money, trying to understand what your credit requirement has to be, and everything of that nature so that you can successfully buy. Because I've been through my own issues, I have been able to successfully help hundreds of other families buy and keep homes. If you're here today, I want to thank you. And I know that you're here because you are looking to get the information that's necessary. My focus is to help you understand the home buying process that's necessary for you to become a successful homeowner. So if you could do me a solid, please share this on your pages so that your friends can see it and that they can learn about the home buying process as well. So most people don't know where to start. When they're looking to purchase a home. And it can be kind of intimidating because you don't know who to ask, you don't know who to trust. Everybody's a guru. And, eh, it can be hard out here in these streets. So I just want to make sure that you're getting the information that you need to understand the home buying process. When you start the home buying process, you are going to ideally look for a realtor. The realtor or myself will be able to help you with pricing and negotiations. We will help you maintain and monitor dates and deadlines so you can stay under contract, as well as be your personal resource for real estate and a liaison between you and some of the other players within the real estate process. Because when you purchase a house, it is a process. Okay, it could be anywhere from 30 days out till 60. And it just depends. Everybody's circumstance is different. The first thing that I would always recommend to someone who is looking to purchase is to know your numbers. If you are a renter or you are living with family and you're like, you know what, I want to buy a house, or even you own a house and you want to move into another home, you're going to need to know your numbers. There it's impossible to do it without knowing your numbers. And even if you don't know your numbers, your lender is going to make you know your numbers because you have to have an idea of what you want to do. If you don't know where you're going, then you won't go anywhere and then you won't see the results that you think you want. So, you today we're going to discuss how much money you would need to have saved, the ideal FICO credit score. Do you have to have W-2s and other information to show to the lender that you can purchase? If you can have that, and ideally, again, I want to help you understand your affordability because when you go to the lender, they're going to ask you these questions, and if you can't answer them, then again, you might have a hard way to go. So that's what we're going to discuss today. Your credit score that the lender is going to pull is always going to be your FICO credit score. This is what's going to qualify you for a home. It's not going to be your income. Your income can determine how much, but the credit is what determines if you can. So it's very hard to purchase with the hope that because you make $100,000 and you have a 500 credit score that you're going to be able to purchase a house. There are some circumstances where maybe something like that could work, but typically that's not going to be the way that goes. You would need to show that you can handle debt and that you can borrow money and pay it back. In order for you to get pre approved for a home, you'll need to know some of these numbers. So if there's four different loan types that we typically deal with for the average home buyer, which is going to be FHA, that's 3.5% down, and they overlook more credit issues. Okay. They overlook more of your credit issues. You can have more recent delinquencies and they will overlook them. Where something like USDA, which is 100% financing, meaning they'll give you all the money that you need to purchase the house as long as you have a specific credit score of 620, that's what they'll do. That's going to be the difference. They're looking for you to have more of a positive payment history or more of a positive credit line longer than FHA. Thank you guys for joining in. If you have questions, you can drop them in the comments and I'll answer them as we go along. Okay. Another loan type is going to be conventional. Conventional loans typically need anywhere from 3 to 20% down. They do pay more attention to the credit. So the stronger your credit score, the lower the interest rate is going to be for that particular loan type. And then you have VA loans, which are loans that typically go to people who can show proof that they have a DD 214 or veterans. So they get 100% financing and they have a little bit of a lower threshold for credit. Okay. Oftentimes, the next question that we get after we talk about credit and what does my credit score has to be, it is how much money do I have to contribute to my home purchase? And that number looks different for everybody. But this is going to give you a high level view of what you can expect when you're going to purchase a house. Typically, when you find the house that you like after you talk to your realtor, you feel comfortable, you get your pre-approval, which we're kind of going through this a little bit backwards, so just bear with me, but I want you to know the numbers, okay? You will need to have a certain amount of money of out-of-pocket costs, okay? So when you go and you see the house that you want, you would have to put down a deposit with the offer. Shannon, I see the house. I want the house. Great. Let's go ahead and write you up an offer. When you submit the offer, you're going to need a deposit. That deposit is going to be anywhere from 1,000 or 1%. It just depends on how much the house is and the area that you're located in. That's going to vary from place to place. If you live in an area where maybe housing costs are lower, $1,000 deposit is going to be sufficient. But if you live in a place where maybe housing costs are much higher, then that number may not be the same. Okay. You would have to do inspections, which is going to let you know if the condition of the house is what it needs to be when you're ready to purchase, as well as an appraisal, which will let you know if the house is worth what you think. And then you have closing costs, which are costs that are going to be associated with closing on a home loan. Those are going to be things like taxes or transfer tax, any prepaids or reimbursements for different things, your lender or attorney fees, origination fees, things like that, title searches. That's what's going to fall underneath of that category. When you are looking at the different loan types, and we just talked about this, they're going to have some programs are going to give you 100% financing, but some programs are not going to give you 100% financing. For the programs that don't give you 100% financing, some of them do have a lower threshold. So that could be $3,500 for every $100,000 you borrow. So let's say you go out and you see a house today, you want to buy it, it's $200,000. We're just using this for easy math. The down payment for that house would be $7,000 because that's what that loan product says. Okay. Now, if you're new here, my name is Shannon. I am a realtor in the state of Delaware. My focus is to help you understand the home buying process so that you can get over that initial fear of purchasing by understanding where you're going. Okay. Another popular loan type is going to be USDA. This is a really good program if you have decent credit and you've had okay credit for at least 12 months. This is typically more so income based. I don't want to say income based, but it is contingent on your income. But if you can qualify for the program, then it's 0% down, which is a win because who wants to have to put money down if you don't have to? Okay. And then again, you have your conventional loan type, which is the loans that our parents and our grandparents had where they were paying 20% down. That's not the same thing that we have to do anymore. Some of these loans are anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 per $100,000 you borrow. Again, you do have to have a stronger credit score, but this is something that the lender will tell you when you talk to them to try to get your pre-qualification. Once you do that, there's two different scenarios that I like to explain and run with people. You can purchase a house with a 580 credit score. And I've said this for years. Okay. You can, but you're going to need more money down. Okay. If you're going to have a not as strong a credit score, then you're going to need to have more cash in hand. Okay. Because we just said it. Your credit score is what qualifies you for a home. So your down payment would be 3.5% because you're not going to be able to qualify for 100% financing because your credit's not as strong. Then you would have your deposit, your inspection, and then your closing costs. So these numbers can add up pretty quickly, which will put you right around 25,000 or 32,000. Now, don't freak out. Don't be like, "Oh no, Shannon, I'm done. I don't want to hear anymore." Because if you take a little bit of time and just make sure that you work on your credit, then you could qualify for down payment assistance program, which could cover some of these costs as far as your down payment and or closing costs. Or you might be able to qualify for a loan product that can give you more money out of pocket. Okay. And then these numbers are pretty much the same, minus that 0% down. And then that significantly reduces the amount of money that you'd have to come out of pocket in order for you to purchase. So please let me know if you have any questions. I hope that that kind of cleared up your concerns about how much money do I need out of pocket and what are the credit requirements for me to purchase. If you're just popping on, this will be available for replay on YouTube for a little bit. So you can always go back or else you can rewind and watch it later. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. All right. So down payment assistance programs can cover your down payment or your closing costs. That's something that the lender would let you know during your pre-approval. And this is why we always recommend that you speak to a lender to get pre-approved, because the lender is the money person. They're the person who's going to be able to tell you how much house you can afford. They are going to help us understand the type of house that you can get, because every loan type doesn't work for every house type. And more importantly, when you're going out there and you're shopping for your house and you see the house that you want, you don't want to have to scramble to suddenly get all this lending documentation together to get to the lender so that you can see if you can get pre-qualified. That's like working backwards. You know what I mean? Or as old folks would say, putting the cart before the horse. A cart doesn't pull a horse, the horse pulls the cart. So when you look at it like that, the lender is what pulls you through, okay, to get the money that you need so that you can purchase the home. To look at a house and not be pre-qualified is working backwards. And oftentimes you're working against yourself and you don't want to do that, okay? So some documents that you would need, again, 30-day pay stubs, 1099 or profit and loss if you're self-employed, 2 years or 24 months worth of your most recent tax returns with W-2s for each job, 60 days worth of bank statements, and a valid government ID. If you're going to do the bank statements, don't white out any account numbers. The lender needs to see that. They need to verify the information. If you have a bank statement and it's 4 pages and page 4 is blank, still give them all 4 pages. They want to see all the information. Again, I'm not a lender, I'm a realtor, but I do understand what they're looking for, and I want to make sure that you have the understanding of what you need to be successful in your home buying process. Okay. So, how can I make sure that you can afford the mortgage that you might see? And this is a question that I get all the time. And I usually tell people that you can do a mortgage readiness test. This is something that I share with people often. And I think that is helpful. So if you think of your dream mortgage, and we're just going to use easy numbers here, okay? Not saying that these numbers are realistic for everybody, but we're going to use easy numbers. Let's say your dream mortgage payment is $1,500 and you want to, that's what you want to spend, and you currently spend $1,000 for your rent or for wherever you stay. If you could save the difference between your dream mortgage and your current rent for 6 months, then you can probably afford the ideal mortgage payment that you want. So, in numbers, if I want to pay $1,500 for my mortgage and my current rent is $1,000, the difference between the two is what? $500. If I could save $500 every month for the next 6 months, that's going to help me in a lot of ways. One, it's going to let me know that I am financially prepared for a mortgage payment. It's going to also help me save for some of those upfront costs that we discussed earlier, like your deposit and your inspection fees, right? It's also going to help you build credit if you put it into something like a credit builder account, or if you put it into maybe you have a credit union that has secure loan payments. So when you pay on it, they give you a CD and then over time you build credit. So this can help you that way also. You don't have to do that, but it's an option for you if you feel like that's something that you need to do. Okay? All right. So, do we have any questions while we wait on this? Any questions? You can go ahead and post them in the comments and I will answer them as they come up. All right. So, how do I make sure that I'm not buying a bad house? Because this is a concern for people too. So, you understand your credit requirements, you understand the amount of money you need. How can I make sure that I'm getting a good house? Because maybe you've seen The Money Pit, and that's an old movie from like the 80s, um, where you buy something and then you just keep pouring money into it. You get a home inspection. The home inspector is there to make sure that the house is structurally and mechanically sound. Now, so we're clear. They are doing a report. You will review that report with your realtor to determine if you're okay with those things or if you're not okay with those things. And that's something that you would negotiate as you go through the process. There are 3 potential outcomes that are outlined in every contract, at least for the state of Delaware, which is either it's satisfactory, minor, or it's major. If it's satisfactory, it's fine. If it's minor, it's something to pay attention to in the coming years. If it's major, it's typically going to be like a safety thing or a non-functioning thing, like maybe there's a window that won't stay up or something like that. Okay. And it could be more aggressive things. You get a home inspection that you're typically recommended to get an add-on for wood destroying insects. Maybe the house might have a termite damage or something of that nature. So that's something that would need to be evaluated at that time as well. Okay. What about getting pre-approval with student loans? Don't student loans make it more difficult to purchase? No, actually they don't. Well, okay. This is my answer as a realtor. Okay, I'm not a lender, but this has been my experience as a person who has done a refinance with student loans and a person who has purchased and helped people purchase with student loans. If you are in good standing and you have a income-based repayment, whatever your repayment amount is that the lender has or that the your servicer has for your student loans, the lender will ask you, and that's what they'll use for your debt to income when they're trying to determine how much money they want to give you for the loan. Okay. So the biggest thing that I tell people is make sure that your student loan debt is current. And then whatever that amount is that you're paying, the student loan servicer can provide you with that. And then you would give that to the lender and they would use that as a part of your debt to income. If your student loan payment is only $20, you know what I mean? That's not so bad. And I know right now a lot of people are going through a lot of issues with the student loan thing because some people applied for the SAVE program and then when the new administration came in, they rolled it back. You know what I mean? So it's just different things that impact people in a different way. I always tell people the best thing you could do is talk to somebody who's trustworthy. I recommend that people speak to the People's Lender. He's here on YouTube. His name's actually Kevin Jefferson. He's licensed throughout the country and he can help you with that. And he actually specializes in helping people get approved for mortgages with student loans. So that's definitely a resource that you would want to check out. I hope that answers your question. Is that Shamkel 77? Let me know. All right. Thank you so much for being here and for asking. Even if they're deferred. If they're deferred, they're still going to tell you what your potential payment would be. Like there's a part. And then I have to think too, if they're in deferment, then I feel like and again, student loans have changed a lot. Especially right now because they're still in the process of changing. Meaning people have to make a decision on what they're going to do with their student loans by July 1st, kind of changing currently. Before you could still see what the potential payment would be, even if you were in deferment. Now, if it was like a forbearance or something like that, like a hardship, economic hardship, I don't think that they would run it because for you to be underneath the hardship would say that you can't afford to pay it. And if you can't afford to pay your student loans, then your affordability, I imagine your affordability for a home would be in question. Does this make sense? Hopefully it does. And maybe what we'll do one day is we'll get Kevin on here and we'll do a live with him where he can answer these questions. Yeah, for sure. Reach out to Kevin. And not only that, Join my email list because when I go live, I share this information so you know which ones you can do. And I also have an online home buyer school where I teach people these different things. So we have things in there like what to do during a student loan, how to get your student loan current standing so that you can qualify for a home, ways that you could DIY, credit repair, and things of that nature as well. So make sure you join my email list. And that information is at my Stan Store, so it would look like this. You could download my home buyer sheet, and then that way we have your email and you can stay in contact. All right, thank you so much. So that's that there. So your home inspection is for you as the buyer. That's going to share the information and the details about the home. Does it have damage from termites? Does it have water damage? Whatever inspections you pay for are the inspections that the home inspector is going to do. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. So the home inspection, they're not cutting holes in the wall, but they are doing structural, mechanical. You know, they're going to check the roof. They're going to check the crawl space. They're going to make sure that the heat works. The hot water heater is the right temperature. That there is heat. A house does not have to have air conditioner, but it does need to have heat, right? That the appliances that are in there work, things of that nature. If you get a wood destroying insect, it's going to go through the wood destroying insects, whether it's like termites, carpenter bees, carpenter ants, wood borrowing beetles, things of that nature. You could do a pool inspection, you could do a inspection, you could do a lead inspection, which is only necessary if you purchase a house after 1978, as well as a radon inspection, which is an invisible carcinogenic gas, which could be anywhere it comes from underground. Point is, you could get all the inspections you want to help prepare you to be a knowledgeable home buyer so you can make sure you're not getting a bad house. All right. Once you go through that information, typically you could negotiate with the seller to see what they're able. The most important part of that though, is if it appraises. And an appraisal is where the lender will send a neutral third party out. They'll go out and they'll say, based off the condition of the house as it is, this is how much it is. This is how much that we value this to be. This is what the bank will give you. So that's what's the most important report in all of this. All right. So once an appraisal happens and once you get, through the inspection period and everything, typically you could get a clear to close once you get cleared through the lender. And then that is when you'll actually sit and do the signing for the home. Now, and on the backside of all of this, the attorney is working if you are in an attorney state. Delaware is an attorney state. Some states are escrow states. So it doesn't matter. What does happen during this point is there will be a title search. Title search is going to go back about, I believe it's 100 years. Okay. To make sure that ownership has transferred from person to person and that you can now own this house free and clear without somebody coming and saying, oh, my brothers and sisters sold this house from under me. This isn't right. Okay. They're also going to schedule your survey because a house having a fence doesn't mean that that's your property line. It just means that there's a fence wherever they put it, right? And they also make sure that the settlement monies are handled accurately and that it's dispersed where it needs to go. So if you're like, Shannon, thank you so much. This kind of gave me more insight. I think I'm ready. Then please feel welcome to email me. This is my email. I do check it and we could book a consultation to see where you are and get you moving in the home buying process. If you're out of state, I can still refer you to lenders that I know and trust within our network of agents. I am with Keller Williams, so we do have agents throughout the world. Okay. If for some reason you're like, you know what, Shannon, I still think I need a little bit more work to do. As I said, I've been in the housing industry for 20 years. I've been a realtor for 11. I've worked in property management. I've been a housing counselor. So I've learned a lot of information to help more first-time home buyers feel confident in their home buying, whether it's, preparing financially, getting your budget together, learning about first-time home buyer programs, getting your credit together. That's something that I teach you to do for yourself through our DIY program. I don't offer that as a service right now, as well as other things like maybe you want to build a house from the ground up. Maybe you want to do a family compound. Maybe there's different options that you want to do. So we discuss those things in this community to make sure that you have what you need to be a successful homeowner. Currently, we focus on financial preparation, understanding, so that you can move on to buy the house and keep it. Because I do believe that homeownership is for anybody who wants it and who's willing to do the work. You can find this information at my school, and the link is also on my Stan Store. So if you go to my Stan Store at stan.store/Shannon Payton, then you should see the link that would allow you to join my Stan Store. All right. So if you have made it this far, I want to thank you so much for being here with me. I encourage you to follow me on the different social media platforms that I'm on. Get social with me. I'm here on YouTube. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. But I play around more here on YouTube because this is where I like to consume content as well. Do we have any questions before we end? Because I do value you guys' time. All right. So since we don't have any questions, thank you so much for being here. You can find me on YouTube at any of my other channels. I don't always do lives, but I do go live once a month for the home buyer workshop to answer your questions and concerns. And I do upload twice a month for different subjects regarding home ownership. So thank you guys so much for being here with me today. And I hope you guys have a great evening. Bye.